Okay, so, there's this whole buzz around AI in education, right? It's like everywhere.
Yeah, definitely.
And we just dug into some super interesting stuff that kind of shows why. Sinead Bovell, the one who spoke at SXSW,
Mm-hmm.
her analogy about AI being like the early internet, like back in '92, really got me thinking.
Oh, yeah. What was that?
She was saying we're kind of at that point where we know something massive is coming, but the really big game changers, like the Googles and Amazons of
Oh,
AI,
right, right.
they haven't even been invented yet.
Wow, that's a pretty powerful way to look at it.
Hmm.
Makes you realize we're just seeing the tip of the iceberg.
Exactly. And to figure out what this means for teaching and learning,
Mm-hmm.
we did a deep dive into two resources that are honestly pretty brilliant.
Okay, I'm all ears. What are they?
First, we've got Bovell's talk from SXSW on AI and the future of education. And then we have this YouTube video.
Okay.
We're calling it Cleft Asunder for now.
Cleft asunder.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's all about like getting teachers fluent in AI. Now, for our listeners, people who want to get a handle on these complex ideas fast,
Yeah.
this is for you.
I like it.
We're pulling out the essential stuff, the things that'll make you go, whoa, I didn't know that.
Love it. Makes it easy to digest.
Totally. And here's the thing. Both these sources, even though they're different formats and viewpoints,
Yeah.
they kind of land on some really similar key themes.
Oh, interesting. Like what?
Okay, so there's this whole idea of AI being a tool.
Okay, yeah.
Bovell uses this image of a chimp using a stick, like extending its abilities.
I can picture that.
But then Cleft Asunder explains it as this super sophisticated system that can recognize patterns in tons of data.
Okay, I see the connection. It's about amplifying what we can do.
Right, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And both Bovell and Cleft Asunder are like, hey, we need to get AI into education and fast.
But that's got to come with some challenges.
All right, totally. It's a huge shift. You can't just slap AI onto the existing system and expect it to work.
Yeah, you need a plan.
100%. And here's the tricky part. Balancing this awesome tech with the need to keep developing those things that make us human.
Ooh, that's
Oh,
a good
yeah.
one. Like critical thinking and all that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So how do we use AI without losing those essential skills?
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question.
Totally. So what we really want to do today is see how Bovell's ideas from her SXSW talk can actually make the teaching methods in Cleft Asunder even better.
Okay, so taking the theory and making it practical, I dig it.
Right. Turning those big concepts into real changes in the classroom.
I'm on board. Let's do it.
So first, let's get on the same page about what AI actually is.
All right, level set.
Bovell calls it a general-purpose technology, something that'll be as basic as, like, electricity or the internet.
Wow, so basically unavoidable.
Right. Like, try to imagine life without the internet now.
Yeah, tough to do.
It's like a utility.
Makes sense.
She had this great point about how internet access is now considered a basic need in a lot of places.
It's true. You can't really function without it these days.
Exactly. And she's saying AI is going to be like that.
Okay, so AI is the new internet.
Got it. Pretty much. Now, Cleft Asunder gives us a closer look at generative AI specifically.
Generative AI, that's the one that creates stuff, right?
Exactly. They describe it as this system that sees patterns in massive data sets, like, the whole internet.
Okay.
And then it uses those patterns to create things like text, audio, images, video.
Whoa, so it's learning from everything out there.
Yeah, it's mind-blowing. But here's the crucial part. It works through pattern recognition, not through actual understanding or thinking like a human.
Okay, so it's not conscious or anything.
Nope.
Got it.
It's more like, imagine learning to tell different music genres apart by listening to a ton of songs.
Okay, yeah,
The AI is doing that with all kinds of data.
makes sense.
And that leads to a really important warning from Cleft Asunder. Don't anthropomorphize AI.
Don't give it human qualities, you mean?
Exactly. We can't be thinking it has feelings or intentions like we do.
Yeah, I can see how that could get messy.
Totally.
Yeah.
Especially for kids, it can lead to, like, unrealistic expectations and even unhealthy dependencies.
Makes sense.
Bovell was really clear about this. AI isn't your friend.
Ooh, tough love,
Yeah.
but important.
Right.
Yeah.
Keeping that boundary is key for using AI safely and effectively.
Uh-huh.
Now, shifting to Bovell's big themes about education and AI, she laid out these 3 pillars.
3 pillars, okay.
The first one is all about safe adoption of AI for kids.
That seems like a good place to start.
Definitely. She's basically saying kids are already messing around with this stuff,
Yeah, it's true.
often without any guidance, so we got to give them the skills to navigate it safely.
That they don't get lost or misled.
Right. Like, knowing what's okay to share, how to ask good questions,
Mm.
and super importantly, how to judge the answers they're getting.
Critical thinking, fact-checking, all that.
Exactly. It's digital literacy, but for the AI age.
Got it. What's the second pillar?
The second one is about urgently changing what we teach.
Oh, interesting. What does she mean by that?
Bubbles acknowledging that students are already using AI for homework and stuff outside of school.
Yeah, can't really stop them, can you?
Right. So we have to rethink how we teach, like maybe flip things around.
Flip things around. How so?
Well, if AI is doing some of the heavy lifting outside of class, then maybe the classroom needs to focus on different things.
Makes sense. Adapt to the new reality.
Exactly. It's about finding that right balance between in-class and out-of-class activities.
Okay, I'm following. What about the third pillar?
The third one is the big one.
Hit me with it.
Fundamentally redesigning the entire education system for the AI world.
Whoa, that's ambitious.
Right. It's a massive undertaking.
Yeah.
But Bovell's worried we're getting too caught up in just using AI without a real plan.
Yeah, just throwing it at the wall and seeing what sticks. That doesn't sound too effective.
Exactly. She's saying we need to nail that first pillar, safe adoption, and maybe make some targeted changes to the curriculum in the short term.
Like baby steps.
Yeah, but realizing that a full-on system makeover,
Yeah.
that's going to take a lot more time and strategy.
Makes sense. You got to get everyone on board, policymakers, teachers, the whole shebang.
Totally. And that focus on not rushing things, it's actually something both sources emphasize.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're both big on being intentional. Like, we need careful experiments, data, to back up our decisions.
So not just jumping on the AI bandwagon because it's trendy.
Exactly. It's got to be about actually improving education, right?
I'm with you.
Okay, so let's look at how Bovell's framework fits in with the teaching strategies from Cliff to Sunder.
Okay, sounds good.
Starting with that first pillar, safe adoption. Cliff to Sunder is all about teachers understanding what AI is at its core.
So like we were talking about earlier, the pattern recognition thing.
Exactly. And also understanding the dangers of anthropomorphizing it.
Right. Not treating it like a buddy.
Totally. And this connects beautifully with Bovell's idea of safe adoption for students.
No, I see it.
By making sure teachers get it.
Yeah.
They can then guide their students better.
Like a chain reaction of knowledge.
Exactly. And Cleft to Sunder has these cool activities like explaining AI to a 14-year-old
Sounds challenging.
or figuring out if something was made by AI.
That's a good one.
It's all about giving teachers the tools to equip their students.
Makes sense. Practical stuff.
Right. So moving on to Bovell's suggestion of changing what we teach. Remember she talked about maybe flipping homework and classroom activities.
Yeah.
Well, Cleft to Sunder implicitly acknowledges that kids are going to use AI outside of school.
I mean, let's be real, they are.
And they encourage teachers to actually engage with AI right there in the classroom.
Openly, you mean?
Totally. It's about transparency.
So no more pretending it doesn't exist.
Exactly. And it's a brilliant way to address things like academic honesty, you know?
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
So instead of banning it,
Right.
you show students how to use it effectively and ethically.
Like, here's how to use AI as a tool, not a crutch.
Exactly. And that aligns perfectly with Bovell's call for changing how we learn.
Totally. So, like, instead of saying, go home and write a report,
Yeah.
you could have them use AI to create a draft in class and then focus on revising and making it better.
That's a great example.
So it's more about the process and the thinking skills, not just the final product.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Cleft to Sunder also talks about how AI can automate some of those tedious tasks for teachers.
Ooh, like what?
Things like making quizzes or giving feedback on basic stuff.
Oh, man, that would be a lifesaver.
Right. And if we tie that back to Bovell,
Yeah.
she wants teachers to focus on those deeper learning experiences.
Stuff that really matters.
Exactly. So if AI can handle the busy work,
Yeah.
teachers have more time for personalized instruction, discussions, creative projects.
I love it. Freeing up their time for the important stuff.
Right. Now let's get to Bovell's third pillar, the big system redesign.
Okay, the long game.
Both sources give us some glimpses into what that could look like.
Like what? Give me some examples.
Well, Bovell mentions these AI-powered personalized learning platforms.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of those. Tailored to each student's needs.
Right. And Cleft to Sunder talks about building custom AI chatbots for education.
Interesting. Like a personalized tutor?
Kinda. And both of these point to a future where learning is way more individualized.
So no more one-size-fits-all approach.
Exactly. Bovell highlights the potential for instant feedback and learning at your own pace.
I mean, who wouldn't want that?
Right. And the AI tutors in Cleft Asunder fit perfectly with that.
It's like having a teacher available 24/7.
Totally. But there's a catch. Research shows that it's not just about giving students unlimited access to AI.
What's the key?
Guidance. We need to make sure students are using these tools effectively, not just relying on them blindly.
Makes sense. You still need a human touch.
Definitely. And Bovell emphasizes that this whole system redesign,
Yeah.
it's a massive job. It can't just be dumped on teachers.
They're already overloaded as it is.
And Cleft Asunder echoes that. They know how much pressure educators are under.
So it's a team effort.
Absolutely. We need policymakers, curriculum developers, tech experts.
Everyone working together.
Exactly. To make sure AI actually benefits both teachers and students.
So wrapping things up, it sounds like Bovell's SXSW talk is a really valuable framework for understanding all this.
Totally. And it even gives us some ideas on how to improve the practices discussed in Cleft Asunder.
Right, connecting the big picture to the everyday classroom.
Exactly. And by focusing on safe adoption, changing how we teach, and thinking about the long-term changes.
We can actually make AI work for education, not against it.
100%. So for our listeners, you've now got a solid grasp on this whole AI and education thing.
You're ahead of the curve.
Right. It's a complex and rapidly changing landscape, but now you're well informed. And here's a really interesting thought from Cleft Asunder. It's easier than ever to create tech tools.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're basically saying that in the future, teachers might even be designing their own AI tools.
Wow, that's pretty empowering.
Totally. So here's something to think about. How can Bubbles' ideas help teachers take those practical steps outlined in Cleft Asunder?
So we're using both to create a better future for education?
Exactly. And to wrap things up, I'll leave you with this from Sinead Bovell. AI is powerful, no doubt. But that human element in education, connecting with students, inspiring them, teaching them to think critically.
That's still irreplaceable.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
As we step into this new era, we can't lose sight of those core human skills.
Couldn't agree more.
That's what truly makes education meaningful.
Well said.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
Until next time.